President, Mr. Schultz is en route back to his office, and I have Dr. Kissinger on.
Yeah. Hello, Henry?
Yes, Mr.
I just wanted to ask you how'd you get along with Newsweek. Are you still there?
No, he's just left. I got along,
You shaking?
Yeah. I really gave him hell. And he said, and I believe him, he said when it's in the international section, there's almost nothing that can be done because Christopher is practically a pacifist, foreign affairs.
Christopher, I see.
While if it's in the national section, then it's more balanced. And that is true because the week before they covered Laos in the national section.
I see.
And he said, well, in any event, don't worry about it because I have concluded Vietnam has disappeared from the front pages forever.
He said that? I'll be damned. They're, of course, overreacting, aren't they?
Yes.
You know, isn't it funny?
But you see,
Henry, you know, we don't realize, I think China, more than Moscow, is a goddamned nerve thing for these people. What do you think? I don't know.
because it's so new.
Yeah.
And of course,
And of course, let's face it, in the long run, it's so historic. You know, you stop to think of 800 million people and where they're going to be. Jesus, this is a hell of a move.
Of course, I don't want to get our hopes up too much, but one of the things that has occurred to me that I did not tell to this fellow is that it is conceivable, indeed it is very possible, that they know Hanoi is going to make a peace move and they don't want to be left out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that'll take care of itself. Getting back to the Russian thing, I was concerned about the test thing. I don't know how are you concerned that much? Can you call Voronzov again, or is that be
I
too
think
far?
that would make us look too eager, Mr. President.
Well, I don't want them to think though that, you know what I mean. Maybe you should call Dobrynin.
No, Mr. President, I've called Dobrynin once.
All right.
I've had Voronzov in.
All right.
I've called Voronzov this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had Ziegler put out a statement.
Right, that's enough, okay.
And I think any more would really be over-eager.
And now at this point, basically, TASS is simply, but TASS, that shows that they must be hysterical about this damn
That's
thing,
right.
huh?
That's right.
Because they said this removed the mask of U.S. Shit, we don't have any relations with the Chinese.
Well,
They must think we're doing something.
Well, they're also using it against the Chinese.
Oh, how's that?
Well, because one of the things in which the Chinese have been driving them crazy is by claiming they were revolutionary purists while the Russians were opportunists.
I see.
So this is part of their internal problem.
I see. So they're saying that we are the Chinese colluding with the capitalists.
That's right. I think this was more directed at them.
You know, I would say this. The columnists and the rest, they should have enough to write about for at least 2 weeks. I don't say it's a month, but 2 weeks.
And of course, at the end of those 2 weeks, we may have something else to tell them.
Yeah. But so Hubbard thought this was going to take Vietnam out of the play for a while, huh?
For a year.
Really?
Yes.
He must be quite emotional about it.
Oh, God. And I have to say in his defense, he is more intelligent than the Time people.
He's somewhat decent, yeah.
And he's really quite decent. And
Fentress is a snake.
Yeah, and I said to him, look, if you want to write an interesting story here, don't write it as if Chu and Lai woke up one morning and decided they're going to have good relations.
Good God.
Write it in terms of a man who's been thinking along this line since '67 and who carefully, deliberately moved in that direction.
Right. And incidentally, I hope you mentioned the fact no Democrat could have done it.
Oh, yes, I told him.
And the fact that here I have done it because, frankly, the Hawks trust me.
And
have you made that point to a few?
Oh, yes. And I said also, it is a success of your speech and of your general policy. If they thought you were on the verge of collapsing, they couldn't do it.
Right.
And I said to, he remembered that during the campaign you had talked along this line, too.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And,
also, to Howard K. Smith, after the July broadcast, you recall, that we did with the 4 network commentators in California, afterwards I talked about China a bit.
Well, I had clippings, Mr. President, of all the things you've said at news conferences and so forth since you've come in here. And also of what you said at toast to Kochescu and Tito.
Right.
And I sort of said, you know, you can assume that he probably said more privately than he said at the toast.
Right.
And, which is putting it mildly.
Right.
And, no, he is,
Do you think he wants us to lose?
No, Hufford wants us to win.
Really?
Yeah.
But he's changed then. He didn't want us to win at the beginning. Maybe he's one convert then. Why does he want us to win? Because he was really against us a year ago.
Yeah, but I think he's really developed a lot of respect for us.
Do you really?
Absolutely. I don't say this about Fentress.
No, Fentress is a snake, and I know he's always been a snake.
But I'd say it about him.
Very interesting.
And
why does he want us to win?
Well, I think he likes the fact that you've stuck to your guns, and he's developed a grudging respect. You're an acquired taste for him. But that's my impression of him. He's been very positive, and he sees the danger of the right wing. Yeah, I hinted at I said, look, if Vietnam ever breaks, and I'm not saying it will break as suddenly as this one did. And so don't put yourself in a position...
Do you really believe that?
I happen to believe that, Mr. President, yes. I will say
what makes you think that Vietnam would break suddenly? I just don't see this.
Because this is the Asian way of negotiating. We negotiate after there's an agreement that we should move, and then we gradually compromise along the way. The Vietnamese act that the major negotiation is before the negotiation starts. That is, they want to be sure they've squeezed the maximum out of the situation that they can unilaterally. Mm-hmm. Once they're sure of that, then they will move to their new position.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't see any sense in approaching their position in stages.
I see.
If I had to predict, Mr. President, I would think there is a better than even chance now that in the next 3 months something will break. In Paris.
Even in Paris, huh?
Yeah.
Well, if it does, we be ready. The main thing, I think, your fear is well justified. I wish you could see them before they move. In other words, make our move.
I almost think we should send a message to them by the end of next week, no matter what we hear from Dobrinen.
Oh, hell yes. Yes. Yeah, look, whatever Dobrinen does, you got to move on this front.
Right.
Yeah, because the Chinese worry them, too.
That's right. No, I will propose a meeting to them probably next Wednesday, for 2 weeks from now. They need 2 weeks to get ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, say one thing, we really got the liberals worried.
Well, Mr. President,
they are
if you
worried.
hadn't stuck to your guns, you wouldn't be worth dealing with.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. None of them admit it. But the April 7th speech was the key to this whole thing, wasn't it? Or was it? I don't know. I think the April 7th...
If you had given a deadline, if you had acted like the man on the verge of bugging out of Vietnam, you would literally not have been worth dealing with for them.
But on April 7th, they watched that speech, I'm sure.
And they saw a tough nut to crack, and they got 2 more.
Where I said, all right, I'm going to stick it out, and I don't give a damn what anybody says.
That's right.
And that has some effect.
They knew they'd be in it until 73, and that's too late for them vis-a-vis the Russians.
Well, the Murphy thing you worked out, you talked to him a little bit more?
Right, and I'm giving him some papers tomorrow, Mr. President.
Right. Well, he's just the right man. He'll do a good job.
Right.
He'll protect us for the state and let him tell old Green that he's going, but